Well, unfortunately, Chelsea fans, the only dub we get today is stopping this corrupt and um we the only dub unfortunately we get today is stopping the European Super League from happening and saving the reputation of our club. That's the only type of dub we're getting today because against Brighton we were just absolutely flat everywhere. We were just so poor in quality, and there was nothing really too exciting about the game other than maybe, Brighton maybe almost scoring a goal against us, maybe like four or three different opportunities throughout that game. And overall, I'm not happy with the performance of the team, and I'm actually more disappointed about the results because again, it's like these little opportunities for us to actually go up and steal some points, some easy points against teams that we should be winning against. Like last time I checked, Brighton weren't like the team that works like that many that our fans like respected or revered or that we're scared of playing against. Like what just happened in that game? It looked like we were just so scared to immerse ourselves in that game and then truly show what we're all about. And we've had tough fixtures in the past. We literally played against Porto twice in the Champions League, and we had to play against Man City in an FA Cup final. And that might be the reason why we look so lackluster today. But still, we have so much quality, so much depth in this team that I feel like if you were just able to put any one of those Chelsea players, because we have that many players, we actually have a lot of players to just put in, and then they should be expected to put in a shift. But that was just not the case today, and everyone looked so lethargic. Everything looked so bad. And the only thing that I can actually just take away is that we got a point, and even that's disappointing. But I'm not gonna get too much into this game because honestly, I think overall this game isn't even worth reviewing. I feel like you were kind of just you're kind of going into like a bad memory. Like why would you go into a bad memory, something from the past that you clearly want to forget and that you will forget in a matter of time? But I'm just gonna get quickly into the players and reveal my ratings on them, just go over how the game went in general. So let's just do that. I don't want to waste any more time. All right, so in this game, we had Kepa, Zuma, Christensen, Rudiger, James, Jorginho, Mount, Alonso, Ziyech, Havertz, and Pulisic. And that honestly sounds like a very good team. Didn't look at all. It looks so much better on paper than what we actually saw today. So let me just go through. One of the only people that I can actually go and say congratulations to is Kepa, because Kepa actually put in a decent shift today. Like many people are always so quick to be like, especially in these dead games, it's just like, well, Kepa really wasn't tested, but I actually feel like he was, because let's face it, Brighton were a better team than us that game, and they actually had more chances on goal than us. And there were actually like one or two instances when Kepa was actually tested, and he actually had to prove himself today. So then that was obviously something very good and something that many Chelsea fans have waited for. I think we've all have waited for Kepa to do something. Some like hoping that he would actually perform well. Well, I actually do believe he performed well. He actually stood his ground, and there was one instance where in the second half where the Brighton player just shot at him. It looked like a really strong shot, but he has strong hands, so luckily he was able to just keep it in his hands. He didn't even have to parry it out or anything. He just grabbed it and just kept it in his body, even though that shot was very powerful. So I am satisfied, at least somewhat, with Kepa's performance. He can keep his head up high, but I'm not too sure about the rest of these guys. The rest of these guys look sloppy. Zuma, Christensen, and Rudiger are three center backs. Out of all of them, I think honestly Zuma looked the sloppiest. There was a time when Zuma received the ball and he just completely lost it to some Brighton players that were just completely on him. And I know that honestly has to do more. That honestly says a lot about the other players, but honestly, if Zuma's in that position, then legit just kick it up. Why are you trying to like hold the ball as you're getting pressured by these Brighton players? Like honestly, even just like kicking it out would be so much better. But there have been so many times when it wasn't just Zuma, but there have been many times when even Jorginho would get the ball from Kepa, and then next thing you know, he's just there surrounded by players. And even though it looks like he can escape, he just completely loses the ball. And Brighton are in on goal because we clearly don't know. We clearly don't learn from our mistakes. Like I feel like after one time, you would think, oh, maybe let's not let like three players at the back how like okay, wait, let me phrase it better. How about the team should have been thinking like maybe we shouldn't be leaving like 4 or 5 people at the back whenever there's a goal kick. There should be more people. There should have been a lot more people centrally, honestly, because I feel like the reason why um, we Brighton always exploited that weakness of ours was because there was no one in the middle, and I can honestly say that for the rest of the game. There's just been there was like no no compactness in that team at all. We looked so wide, but because of that, many of our players were isolated, and because of that, Zuma in many instances just kept on losing the ball, and was not happy with that in the slightest. There were many chances when Brighton could honestly just scored against us, and next thing you know, they're the one with 3 points, and we're the ones with 0 points. So not happy with Zuma. Christensen and Rudiger can barely say anything about them. I think Christensen actually put a decent shift, but there were also times when he looked very sloppy. And so did Rudiger. Was not too happy with the center back's performance. I'll be honest. And honestly, I have to say that was the weakest we looked defensively in a long time under Tuchel. So, after that West Brom game, as a matter of fact, that was the weakest we've ever looked defensively. And then let me just go into James and Alonso now. James actually pushed up a lot. He tried to do his best to contribute to the attack. He looked a lot deadlier in the first half than he did in the second half. He was actually able to just ping in balls in the first half, but unfortunately none of them actually went through the box. It would always hit a Brighton player and stuff like that, so that would always happen. And then Alonso was I barely noticed him in that entire game, I'll be honest. Not too happy with his performance at all. Definitely would have preferred if Chilwell started. I think Chilwell could have definitely offered something a little bit more. Alonso was just kind of there. I honestly believe that the game happened more on the right side of the game. So like I would say James got more involved than Alonso ever did. So that's just my take on him. And then Jorginho and Mount. It looked honestly good at some points in the game. Jorginho honestly looked decent passing the ball, and he was actually finding people in the middle. And then Mount definitely grew in the second half a little bit, at least. I don't know. Is that me just saying something bluff or something like that? I don't know. But Mount honestly did look a little bit better in the second half. He was, actually directed the play a little bit more. And then when he received the ball from the midfield, he would actually move forward and then try to play out to the wings. But honestly, just playing out to the wings wasn't enough for us today. And because we had no crossing ability that entire game, and it also looked like no one was ever in the box for some reason whenever we put in those crosses. So that's my take on the wingbacks. Ziyech, Havertz, and Pulisic. Ziyech honestly looked okay. He did well in my opinion. He tries to give an early cross to Alonso in the first half, and then Alonso almost maybe could have scored it. I don't know if the ball was overhit or anything. But then Ziyech also has a chance to shoot it in the box. It was either him or Havertz, I can't remember. But also Ziyech was just able. Ziyech also played a really good through ball into James, and that could have maybe gifted us a goal if we just knew how to score properly. And that was really it for Ziyech. Unfortunately, he was taken out too soon. Don't know if he's going to be in the starting lineup anytime soon. I did say in the Man City game, if he did perform well, he would get a starting lineup role. But now after this performance, I'm not fully convinced if he's actually solidified his role into this first team. So we're just going to have to wait and see. And then Havertz and Pulisic. Havertz actually did okay in the first half. He did okay because he was able to actually hold up his ground. And the same goes with Pulisic. Like one instance, Havertz was getting bullied by a few players. He was getting swarmed, kind of like how we were in the second half. But for some reason in the first half, we were actually able to evade the Brighton players. So that just, kind of helped us in the first half, but did not help us in the second half. And I can also say the same with Christian Pulisic in the first half. He was against Ben White. If you go back to my watch along, I said Christian Pulisic held up very well against Ben White because Ben White was basically holding him and his shirt and stuff like that. But not only was Pulisic able to get past him, he was able to basically maneuver around him, basically do a complete turn, like a Maradona kind of. So then he just does that, and then he gets fouled, and yeah, he does well to win the free kick or whatever it was. That's what I can say about those two players. They actually held up pretty well when it came to being a little bit more physical than they would usually be required to. um, or at least what they were expected to do. Because let's be honest, we haven't really seen that much physicality from those guys, like in terms of just bullying other players. We haven't really seen that. So that's just my take on them. If there's any one positive, I can at least say that those two put in a little bit more of a physical shift. And then nothing impressive from the bench, except for Hudson-Odoi. I actually was impressed with the Hudson-Odoi, especially when he won us that free kick. It was a little bit, it was a good piece of skill. It didn't really mean anything unless we would have actually scored from the set piece he had given us in that foul. Didn't mean anything, but a little bit of good skill doesn't hurt, especially at the end of a boring game. And that's just my take on the whole game in general. It was just very boring, very lackluster. If you go back to my watch along, there were many times when I was just groaning because I was frustrated in the passing, frustrated that we kept on losing possession and that Brighton were basically in on goal every 2 seconds in the second half. But overall, just not interested in the game at all. Brighton, fair play to Brighton. They actually did create themselves a little bit of a chance. Definitely could have gone and won the game themselves. I'm surprised they didn't, if I'm being completely honest. And that's just my take on the entire game. So, yeah, my bad. So, that is just going to wrap up my review on the game. I really don't want to go into this game anymore. Very disappointed, but the only thing I can actually be happy about was before the game. I would actually say that was when I was happiest in any part of my watch along. It was before the game. So that's when I was the happiest because we actually went out as Chelsea fans, or not me in particular. I didn't even go out. Chelsea fans were able to just go to Stamford Bridge and then just obviously make the message through that we don't want to be participating in any European Super League next season. And honestly, the message that those football fans have done, it's honestly just they're doing God's work, and I'm just very happy that they were able to make their message clear. Their efforts weren't in vain. Chelsea and Man City are going out of the Super League, and that in itself is a dub for Chelsea fans. Unfortunately, the players couldn't provide us with anything else, but if there's anything to leave, if we're trying to leave on a good note, we saved football, as many Chelsea fans would like to say. So that's how I'm going to end the video. Thank you, Chelsea fans, for watching. Thank you for saving the sport, and I will see you guys in the next video.